Hello, and welcome to the Beyond Borders podcast, the podcast that explores topics related to international trade. This podcast is brought to you by Buckland. For over 70 years, Buckland has been working to help companies across the world experience global trade in a better way. As a customer-focused company, we provide you with a single source of unmatched customs brokerage, trade managed solutions, freight forwarding, trade technologies, and warehousing and distribution services. I'm your host, Jenny Kaus, Marketing and Communications Specialist here at Buckland, and today I'm speaking with our guest, Paul Van Wyk. Paul is a Business Development Manager here at Buckland and holds his Certified Customs Specialist designation in Canada. Paul has been with Buckland for a year and a half, is that correct? Yeah. Great. Okay, so Paul is joining me today to talk about the process of selecting a broker. So thank you very much for being with me today, Paul, to talk about this.
Thanks for having me, Jenny. I'm really excited to be here.
Choosing a customs broker is a very big decision for a business to make, and it's a choice that definitely should not be made without careful consideration. The right broker can save you time and money by keeping you protected from delays and penalties. As a business development manager, Paul helps many clients through this process, and we're so glad to have Paul with us today to tell us what exactly to look for when you're choosing a broker.
It's definitely a decision not to be taken lightly, and I'm really happy to be here to give some tips. The profitability of your business is really dependent on the quick and speedy delivery of your products to your clients.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. Let's get started. What tops the list for you of things that people should watch for when they're choosing a broker?
In today's world, the most important thing to look at first is the technology. In today's digital world, your broker must be on top of technology and trade to be able to provide useful tools to customers to gain supply chain insights. Electronic data interchange, also known as EDI, capability is must. And you should ask to see examples of what the brokers have to offer in regards to their technology and reporting abilities to ensure that it works with your current technology and your processes.
And I would say as part of that, I would encourage people to ask for a walkthrough of these pieces of technology to see how they work and ask for that tour so that they can see what they would actually be using on a day-to-day basis.
Every company has some level of technology, but you want to get down to the grassroots of it to determine if the reporting capabilities is something that your team is going to be able to work with. Every company has its own unique processes, and the ability to see the information that you need is paramount. Otherwise, it creates additional work.
I completely agree, and you want to make sure that your systems are going to work really well together. So this is definitely something you want to watch for. So after technology being one of the first things we want to look at, what would you say is next when you are evaluating brokers?
When evaluating brokers for your particular industry, you want to look at their knowledge and their experience. Every commodity is different. Every commodity has unique requirements. And with thousands of commodities, tens of thousands of commodities on the market, it's that experience to show that they have worked through that, understand all the requirements necessary to ensure a smooth flow through customs.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You definitely want to make sure that whatever it is that you're looking to get across the border is something that they're well versed in and that they understand the intricacies, because as we know, so many things can come up in that process.
It is customs, right? So things do come up, but it's way more profitable for the company to have a complete knowledge or the steps in place to ensure, that you don't hit those eventualities. And really, at the end of the day, the knowledge of the product is going to prevent any situations beforehand. Things will always come up, but having that experience helps to work through those much quicker.
Yeah, and I think that this is where a great broker can really shine, when they can become a knowledgeable, trusted partner to your business. So that's great. Thank you for that. What else? So what would you say is kind of next in line as they're kind of going down the list of things to watch for? What would they look at next?
What else is important is the people in a company. At the end of the day, when you make a decision to work with a custom broker, you're making a long-term agreement. People joke in the industry that you date your freight forwarder and you marry your broker. And so you want to make sure that you ask all of the questions, get to know the people, understand the processes, so that you're positive that your needs are going to be taken care of specifically. So in addition to having a good feeling of comfort around the people, those people need to be accessible to you. Things happen at the worst hours. Never at 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. It's always 6:30 p.m. on a Friday. And Buckland is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And a good customs broker will ensure that you have all the contact names and numbers of the people that will be able to assist you during those times at any given time of day.
It would be incredibly frustrating to be caught with an issue with your goods crossing the border and not be able to reach your broker. So this is something that you definitely want to make sure that you have talked about and really ironed out those details with whoever you're selecting. That's definitely a very important point of consideration. What else would you advise that people look into when they're choosing a broker?
Well, another aspect would be the broker's ability to provide a total solution for your freight forwarding and customs needs. Being able to provide services like trade compliance consulting, transportation, freight forwarding, warehousing, and distribution, because all of these aspects of the supply chain interact very closely. And if a customs broker has all of those services, it shows like a true understanding of how it works. It provides you with an opportunity for one point of contact. And if you only choose a broker for brokerage services, it also shows the ability to work within all of the other services in the supply chain.
Absolutely. And I can see how choosing a broker with these types of services would definitely be a time saver and provide an overall better experience for you when you're selecting someone. It's just going to be a lot more seamless if those services can kind of all happen in tandem through the same service provider. So that's a really good point. What else have you got for us?
I think another important aspect to consider is the value and the value of the service received. My father used to talk to me and he would say, Paul, if you're going to jump out of a plane, are you going to buy the least expensive parachute? Right? Yeah. At the end of the day, your shipments generate your profitability. It's delivering them on time, delivering them smoothly, avoiding all of the delays that really make a difference to your bottom line. Mm-hmm. So when you look at a broker, there are different options, different levels of service, but what you want to do is do a cost-benefit analysis and ensure that the shipments are going to move the way you want them to, in a cost-effective manner. And I say cost-effective rather than the least expensive.
And I completely agree. And I think we've all had that experience at different times in our lives where, something can seem like savings up front, but end up really, truly costing you in the long run. So, you really get what you pay for. So that's something to keep in mind too, if you're comparing different brokers and you're looking at their prices. If you see an outlier that's a lot less, you might want to look into why that's so much less and what that's going to mean for you.
One of the best referrals I ever got in my life was they're a little bit more expensive, but they're worth it. Because at the end of the day, that contributes to your bottom line. Oftentimes through our processes and with our technology, we are able to provide very cost-effective, cost-competitive pricing. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that value should be, or the cost should be the first thing you look at, but the value.
I think that that's a really important distinction to make as well, is that whole cost and value, to make sure that you're really getting something good for that money that you're paying. So that's a great point. Okay, what would be next up on your list of things to, as you're looking at a broker, to evaluate them on?
It relates back to what we discussed a little earlier, and that's the people and the processes. As well as technology, it's the customization and flexibility of those that are really going to make a difference to your business. Unless you are a huge multinational with unlimited resources to be able to deal with each aspect of your business, customs broker being able to work with you, being able to work with your team, being able to work with your processes to give you the information to, make the modifications to make your life easier. that is huge, because otherwise you can spend more time, opportunity cost, in getting your shipments out.
I agree. And I mean, working with a broker, when you talk about flexibility and customization, this shouldn't be something where you have to fully change the way you do everything. You want to find someone that can integrate with you and have their systems tailored to match yours, where you find a way to work together rather than you just shifting everything that you do on your end as the customer. So I think that that's very important.
Absolutely. And it actually refers back to that minor joke I made at the very beginning, that you marry your broker and you date your forwarder. It's that ability to work together, that flexibility to integrate systems, to line up so that it is a partnership rather than purely a service.
I think that those are great things to keep in mind, because you're going to be working so closely together, and you really want to look at a broker as someone who's going to be a partner. They're going to be there to work with you and help make your business the best that it can be. So with all of that said, if anybody has any questions about this or they want to reach out, how can Buckland help?
If you have any questions, please feel free to forward an email to the link provided within the podcast, or give us a call, speak to our CSA group. If you just give a brief overview of what you're looking for, either the person that you're speaking to can help you out, or they will direct you to a experienced expert that will have clear insight into your situation to, provide you with the best information possible.
Thank you. And I would encourage people to reach out to csagroup@buckland.com. If you have any questions, whether they be about the podcast or about Buckland services, it's csagroup@buckland.com. And Paul, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about the things to keep in mind when choosing a broker. And I want to remind the people that are listening that we actually have a printable learning guide on this topic on our website under the learning section. So if you like what you heard today and this is information that you would like to use as you're evaluating brokers, please feel free to visit buckland.com and click on learning across the top of the website. And there you're going to find a section called learning guides. And there is a learning guide called how to choose a broker, things to keep in mind when choosing a broker. So I would encourage you to check that out and take a look at it, because that will give you this information in a printed format so that you can use that as a way to kind of keep these things on the top of your mind as you're evaluating brokers. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to us at csagroup@buckland.com if there's anything that we can do to help you today. Again, thank you so much, Paul, for spending time with us today to talk about all of these very useful tips for things that people can keep in mind as they're choosing a broker. It's been very informative, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jenny. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and I look forward to maybe meeting some people that have gone through this, that are truly looking for a partner to put me through the ringer to answer all their questions. The other thing I want to make sure I leave with is make sure that your broker asks you a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. If the broker isn't asking you a lot of questions, they may have the knowledge or they may not. Everything is unique. Mm-hmm. Make sure that they are getting to know you as well.
It's a great final tip to close on, so thank you so much. That's the Beyond Borders podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to our guest, Paul Van Wyk, for joining us and for sharing your expertise. If you're looking for more resources related to international trade, check out buckland.com and click the learning section across the top of the website. Here you're going to find a range of resources, including learning guides, webinars, and podcasts. Our downloadable learning guides include items like Incoterms, things to keep in mind when choosing a broker, common trade terminology, and many, many more. We also host live monthly webinars, and we invite you to sign up online to secure your spot for an informative presentation, followed by a live Q&A session. The best way to keep up to date on all of these resources is through our weekly newsletter. We send out this newsletter every single Wednesday containing our latest resources, as well as a roundup of the latest trade news delivered straight to your inbox. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our website's Contact Us page, through Twitter, where our handle is @BucklandTweets, on our LinkedIn company page, or on Instagram @Buckland Customs. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Borders podcast, and be sure to tune in again and subscribe for more great conversations about importing, exporting, and everything else in the world of logistics and international trade.